Welcome to Transatlantic Wrestling Talk. New intro, same people. This week we're going through the King of the Ring 1996, and I am joined, as always, by the resident expert, Dale. How are we doing, brother?
I don't know about expert, but I'll take that. Thank you very much for that sweet introduction. By the way, neither Andy nor I did that guitar. So if anybody wants to play guitar for us, our opening, I got a few friends. Let us know. Anyway, off we are, 1996. It's a wonderful year here. Looking back at this, I was actually thinking, because, this is a Saturday morning program. I'm like, what was I watching Saturday mornings in June of 1996? Wasn't Thundercats, although that'd be nice. What were you watching on Saturday mornings, Andy?
Oh, He-Man, I think around this time.
Yeah, you guys got shows like 10 years after us, right?
Not half, mate. Not half. Used to get all sorts. Or was it Bucky O'Hare? I think it was around this time.
Who the hell is that? For the American viewers, who the hell is Bucky O'Hare?
It was like some kind of guy who was like a bunny rabbit, but he used to shoot and fight with aliens. But yeah.
Okay. So he was kind of like Buck Rogers. Is that the other one too?
Yeah, something like that, similar. There's loads of them. Hong Kong Phooey, friggin' all sorts of stuff.
So I'm gonna go with just Fox 5. Okay, so that's Fox, where they have SmackDown now. So we have Eek the Cat. There was Bobby's World and Life with Louie. So Bobby's World. Do you know the Deal or No Deal guy?
No,
Howie Mandel.
Oh, Howie Mandel. Yeah, we have a different one over here. Noel Edmonds was the original creator of Deal or No Deal.
Oh, okay. And you guys had that before us, right?
Mm-hmm. We did.
Yeah. And The Weakest Link you guys had too.
And Britain's Got Talent.
Yes, and we don't have talent. So, like you said last week with the metal musicians. But anyway, yeah, that's what we were watching. But we also watched a lot of wrestling back then, because Fox would go into Mania. And then what would we do with Mania? So you also have Livewire on Saturday mornings too. That's another story. But yeah, 1996, King of the Ring, my friend. And boy, let me tell you something. Nostalgia up the ass, correct?
Oh, loved it. And you know what? Just something that I want to just point out here as well. Do you know what the two dark matches were on this?
I think one was the Body Donis, correct?
Yeah, and who were they against?
The
New Rockers. The New Rockers.
Oh, with Leif Cassidy and Marty Jannetty, huh?
Yeah. And then on top of that, the second dark match, was Aldo Montoya. And guess who he was going against?
Triple H.
And why is that important, Dale?
We got a little clickness right there.
Right.
That's right.
And why is that very important?
Because Shawn was buddies with both of them, and then this was soon after. This soon? Wait a minute. Wasn't this soon after the
curtain call?
Crazy, huh?
And do you remember Triple H was meant to win this one instead of Austin, but now he's on the dark match doing his rip
against his fellow clickmate too.
Yeah. So he was put all the way back there, and obviously that was down to the giving him his punishment for what he was doing.
The domino effect is amazing in this one, isn't it? It's just what could have been. But
do you know what's annoying? Very annoying though, is the fact of, and this shows the disparity with WWE, which I believe still stands the test of time, is Hunter Hearst Helmsley was in that curtain call and he's being relegated to the dark match here when he was meant to be winning King of the Ring. You've got Shawn Michaels, who's also in there, who gets made to look like $1 million and is the main event on the show. And just the disparity between the two of them and how they were treated is just totally unfair. And I suppose that's just the company, but at the same time, it's in my eyes, it should be either punish everybody or don't punish nobody.
You're going to do that to the champion that's making you millions of dollars?
Well, I get that, but then at the same time, why then punish Hunter? Why don't you just not punish anyone if you're not going to do it?
Funny that you bring that up, because we could talk about that in a whole different way here in a second. Why was Marty Jannetty on the opening match too? Another chance, right? This is going to be a theme for the night, and we could get into this discussion.
Yeah, which we will do as we go on. But the opening match on the card was Stone Cold versus Marvelous Mark Merrow, or Wildman Mark Merrow as he was called back then. It's been well known that Austin, when he was champion, didn't want to work with Merrow. For whatever reason, we still don't understand that well, because Mark, when he talks about it, doesn't really understand it.
Because he was powerbombed by Sable a week prior. And then the next week... And then a week after that, Steve says, "Why am I going to go and have a competitive match with this guy when his wife literally just gave him a power bomb?"
Yeah. Which makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Steve's not wrong.
Yeah. Well, Sable's at the best here. It's probably the best of her career. Standing there.
That's my notes here too. I said this is the best Sable has ever done. Like her whole entire job right now is just fantastic, because it's just shut up, get the crowd going, and look very attractive. And that's what they did. By the way, Andy, this match was awesome.
It was.
This was a very long match. Ring time we got going
16:49.
That's a long time. And we did 90. I think we did 94 a couple of weeks ago. We did 98 last week. This was definitely the longest of at least the first round or the semifinals. These are the semifinals, by the way.
Yeah.
The semifinals, it wasn't a qualifier. There wasn't a first round. So they kind of went with just, hey, let's cut right to the chase here and give you a couple of different matches. That was a good theme, because there was a lot of other stuff that was going on with this pay-per-view. Obviously, Austin gets the win here. It just shows how much faith they had in Mark Merrow, because he was able to have a very long match here. And the whole knock on him was the fact that he was trained to be Johnny B. Bad. He wasn't trained to be a different type of wrestler when he came in. Do you think that was an issue, or do you think it was just like, we could adapt?
Well, I think two things on this. One, Vince thought he was getting Johnny B. Bad, but he couldn't have Johnny B. Bad because it was intellectual property of WCW. Also, what I found is, Mark was trained in the power plant and all the rest of it. Now, a lot of WCW wrestlers, Bagwell is a big one, talks about this a lot, is when they were in the WCW ring, one, there was cables instead of ropes, and two, the actual ring size was smaller in WCW. So in this case, I think Mark done really well in this match, considering he hadn't been here long, and the size of the ring and everything else that goes alongside it. He showed that he's got a lot about him.
Yeah. He's just he was super talented and super athletic, and it shows here. It was probably the weirdest ending though, because I see like how it was just like that reverse slingshot type into the top rope, and then Austin grabbed him and gave him the stunner, which the stunner would evolve. But the sell of the stunner was just really weird, because he was like,
it was just kind of weak, wasn't it?
It was like, I'm choking, and I can't wiggle my arms to move my shoulders to get out of the pin. And I was like, it's odd. Merrow, I think, could have had a future. And I've always said this, for WrestleMania 10, Vince McMahon booked the wrong Johnny B. Bad. Yeah.
I still think that Sable screwed him.
You didn't get it because he got Little Richard.
I know.
I
ignored it, Dale. I ignored it.
You're a Dale proof.
Well, just before we do go on to the main, so obviously Austin progresses in this one, but interesting little thing, mate, I want to bring to your attention, which people, obviously everyone says this was the coming out party for Austin. It was the start of what would become one hell of a run and whatnot. One thing that I want to say to you though is, right, there's a significance before this match that leads into to this tournament. It's all relevant. What is it?
Owen Hart being an announcer here.
Mm-mm. No.
What do you mean? Oh,
For Austin specifically.
Dropped the ringmaster gimmick and Ted DiBiase left.
And what else though? There's something really significant. I think King of the Ring. Right, I'll give you the clue. Who did he fight in the qualifying rounds before the semis? In the quarterfinals, as we say.
Was it Jesse James?
Nope. It was Savio Vega.
Oh.
Why is it that important?
They had a Caribbean strap match?
No, it was the first time he ever used the stunner.
I did not know that. Wow,
yep.
That's interesting.
First ever time he used the stunner. If you go on WWE, normally on the socials somewhere along the line, I've seen it before, is they talk about how Michael Hayes was the one that come up with the stunner. And the first match that he actually used it in, because they didn't want him to keep on, because he dropped DiBiase and stuff, and he was dropping the $1 Million Dream. They wanted to give him something else, and apparently Michael Hayes had this in his locker for a while that he was going to give to somebody, and he turned around to Steve and went, "Look, do you want to have a go with this?" And then that's where we ended up, mate. So this tournament is significant in more ways than one. It was obviously the stun. I mean, at this point, we're still kind of refining the stunner, should we say, because he's still got to learn the kick and the bop and all the rest of it that goes with it. But yeah, this tournament was where Austin 316 was born, Stone Cold was coming up, the stunner was made in the quarterfinals before the pay-per-view. Big significance for Austin, isn't it?
It's a game changer, to say the least, and this is a real game changer. We could go on and on about WrestleMania 17, okay, for 3 different parts. And one specific thing that I'll tell you that I absolutely admired was during that match against The Rock, he pulls out the $1 Million Dream. And Jim Ross says, that's the $1 Million Dream. Austin has not used that since, I think he might have said, since he was the ringmaster or before he became Stone Cold, something like that. I love the $1 Million Dream. I thought it was a fun move. I loved how DiBiase sometimes would throw it back. The stunner was just the stunner. The stunner was probably the best finisher ever. And even Kevin Owens uses it. Looks pretty good too. Certain people, like they had the McMahon stunner too. You know, it was just constantly. Disco Inferno tried it too. But it was, you know, he did it good. He did it good. But then again, he's a professional. But there's only one Stone Cold stunner. And Steve did it here. And it's always cool because sometimes these simplistic moves, they just make you go, huh, that works. And it has an effect. And it makes, and, you know, and that's what he did here. Goes over Mero. I want to just touch up on Owen being introduced as a commentator here. Hilarious. And he was great. So funny.
He was great all the way through. Brilliant he was.
I don't think we go through a pay-per-view without mentioning him, but I don't care.
One thing I have got a note here, and I want to get your opinion on this, is I don't believe Vince McMahon and JR mesh well together.
No.
Not at all.
I agree with that. I think that's why they would lead. Vince would lead this, and then once in a while he'd kind of feed it to JR for those extra facts. You'll see packages in there with Jim Ross actually commentating and doing voiceovers over recaps of storylines, which is a major caveat. You and I were talking about SmackDown and how SmackDown is a great show. It's a great show right now in 2022. Would I go to one? No, because I'm going to be sitting in the back watching a monitor while they recap everything for me, you know, and seeing the interviews there. I might as well be at home. So I don't want to hear about attendance numbers when you do this stuff like this, because when you're going to a WWE event, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a lot of recaps. You're not going to get too many matches, which I would go for, you know, but regardless, Ross and Vince, it was kind of not so much like oil and water, but also like Owen was definitely a great buffer. I like when he
It's
called
like them
Yokozuna
two with the
fat.
kinds of are both alphas trying to go over each other.
Well, Ross knew right away. He's like, I'm better than this guy. I guess I
Mm.
have to adapt to this guy's style,
Was
which
he
he
though?
did. If you want a job, sure.
Do you think he was better than McMahon? I think that's
Without
a
a
bold
doubt.
statement. I reckon, yeah.
Do I think? Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Do I think Jim Ross was better than McMahon?
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Well,
Okay.
I could see why people. Not saying that Vince was bad. Not at all. Vince McMahon
Yeah.
calling it was really good, but you could just tell who he cared. I would like when he'd go to Royal Rumbles and like it would be Duke to Dumpster Drosy. Can he win the Royal Rumble? Can he go on to WrestleMania? No. No, Ross without a doubt. But at this point, Vince was better than Ross because Ross was still learning the ways of WWE or WWF.
Yeah.
You can remember he appeared in a toga. That was his first appearance.
Remember Bobby on the camel.
Right,
but let's
you wanna
move
talk
on to
about
match
team.
number 2. We've got Jake Roberts versus Vader. I love this match. I really did. And you know what? I'm not a big fan of the finish, I'll be honest, with the disqualification. I thought it was dumb, stupid, what have you.
Worst finish. I have here, worst finish of King of Ring match. It's awful. Until I've seen another one and revisit another one, this is the worst finish of a King of the Ring match. And it's not like you had the rockabilly in there. It's not like you had some schlep jobber that needed to do that to win against Jake the Snake.
No, it was Vader.
It's Vader. If Vader accidentally shoved the referee out of the way to keep beating the crap out of Jake, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Not I'm getting DDT'd.
I mean, one thing that I can say is, though, I do understand it because of what happens after the match. They probably could have got there a bit differently, as you say, but the whole where he beats him down afterwards. By the way, I love the way Jim Cornette as the referee in the corner. Absolutely great work by Cornette on that one. Absolutely great.
Spot on. I have him here. Spot on. He's always spot on with just where to be, knowing the camera, where the camera is, where to locate it, and just showing the crowd emotion.
It's making it believable, though, when he's grabbing the ropes and he's pushing the ref back and he's blocking the ref. Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
I agree with a lot of things he says, but I also disagree with some things. But when he's talking about how to put on a presentation, you should listen. The guy's been in how many different areas of the business, and has had success with it. So do I agree with certain things that he has to say about certain wrestlers? Like I don't think he likes Riddle. I think Riddle right now is one of the best attractions on TV right now for wrestling. He is.
I do.
Watching him yesterday, and that was a great match yesterday against Reigns. We're not going to go into it too much, but we try to make these comparisons to modern day just to, kind of we're grabbing at strings here, but I think that Cornette just knew what to do, especially for a DQ finish. He just wants to shit can the other guy. And, obviously there's definitely some animosity with Jake here. I don't know. Jake here is just a redemption tour thing. And, he's found God and he's like so determined, yet you could tell he's even in worse shape than he's ever been in this stage of his career. But Jake advances and he gets beat up afterwards more and more. And then the ribs hurt. And, he's coughing up blood. Ongoing theme for the night. Episodic television, Andy.
That's it. It was great. It really was great. Just a note on that as well is the reason I believe they done this whole angle and they Vader beat up Jake and stuff like that is because they were trying to get across the Stone Cold character. And even though Jake come out and he was beat up and he was injured, Stone Cold didn't care and he was straight on him, like the rattlesnake he is.
Yeah. Take advantage of the weak and go for the kill. I agree with that. I think that's the best way to do it too, because then you're instantly having an impact player at that point. And remember,
and that's it.
Remember, you would also carry over in the 97 Rumble when he would be thrown out, come back in, then throw out Brett.
That's it. And that's why I look at it and think, like, I don't mind. I get upset to what they were trying to do. I just didn't like the way they got there.
Of
That
course,
makes sense.
because Vader, you could do the same DQ finish if Vader just stopped and, let's say, didn't listen to a referee while kicking the crap out of Jake, and then shoved the referee out of the way. There's the DQ. That's it. Not I'm getting DDT'd. I guess Vince just wanted the DDT to come back into play as a finisher.
100%.
And just and
no one delivered it better though, did they?
Correct.
No one delivered.
I think, but I also think that it helps when somebody could sell it.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's the same with the stunner, isn't it? If no one doesn't sell it, it looks like a bag of crap.
I'll talk about that with another move later on. But yeah, it all comes down to selling.
Okay.
Now, can I sell you on this match? Can I sell you with this match?
Oh God.
So we have.
You can try.
You are sold, my friend. What did they say in Tommy Boy? I could sell ketchup popsicles to a woman in white gloves with this match. You know why? Because the beautiful, drunken Sunny is here. And she is now the manager of the awkward heel-looking Bart Gunn and a Billy Gunn that doesn't know how to speak into a damn microphone.
No,
she is now the yeah, I'm gonna get you. Gucci go. It's just, and Bart Gunn's just like, I'm a wrestler. I'm gonna smile. It's funny because she's just an awesome mouthpiece. Always has been. She's banging Billy Gunn. Phineas Godwin was having her for a little bit. She's pretty much far removed from this body Donis, which we could definitely talk about at some point when we get to them at a pay-per-view. I love Chris Candido, Skip, and Sonny, and Zip you also had. But we were introduced to picture-in-picture with a sort of a rainy, cloudy person, correct?
That's it.
I have notes. I have notes on Cloudy.
Go on.
Cloudy was a quote-unquote transvestite or a cross-dressing Sonny here. I said that Cloudy was a Caucasian jazz. It's as if Howard Stern was on the show during this. Sonny was an amazing manager, and Billy Gunn is awful at promos, and you could tell that Bart Gunn didn't want to be a heel. They come out with, why the hell can you not get Country Boy licensed on Peacock or WWE? Come on.
Stupid, isn't it? Absolutely stupid. And you know what? Then Dubbo was just absolutely just annoying the shit out of me. One note I have got to hear myself is, notice the way that WWE did not give a microphone to Hillbilly Jimmy. I bet they wish they would have done that on the Hall of Fame.
And you know what the funniest part is about that whole thing? Jim is one of the most loved people ever.
Oh yeah, I loved him to bits.
Do you know he had like scholarships for 5 basketball teams in college? Yeah, he got acceptance letters and offers from 5 different colleges here in the U.S. That's impressive. But he was just a character, and you could maybe see him, back in the 80s, and then also on cartoons too. I'm not even gonna lie and say I watched a lot of him. However, I remember seeing him, and was it the Gimmick Battle Royal? The guy had he was jacked, ripped.
Yeah, he really was.
Great shape. I remember watching footage of him. I think he was with the midgets too. So I'm not even.
He was at one point. He was, yes, that's correct.
Against King Kong Bundy.
Yeah, this match for me was it was 10 minutes 10 seconds, which was about 7 minutes too long. But we got there in the end. Billy Gunn, was it Billy or Bart? One of them hit. It was Bart. Hit Phineas over the head with the cowboy shoe. Retain the titles, and the crowd pop for Sunny when she's got the belts and she lifts them up, and the crowd go mad for her. Considering she's a heel with a heel faction, the crowd popped for her.
Yeah,
she's probably at
because
the highest peak of where she was going to get to at this point, wasn't she?
she had the golden touch at that point too. No pun. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna talk sexually, but I'm sure she slobbed a few knobs. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I think at that point she just got heat too, and the crowd really liked her
Yeah,
because she still was sexy. She still was
yeah.
good looking. She knew how to talk. She was a bitch, but she was a bitch, that people liked because she was right
Oh,
up
she's a
front.
good bitch.
She was a good
Mm.
bitch. Ugh. Um, yeah, it's like somebody wants to ask, what the hell's a good bitch? Yeah, it's just Sonny was just the manager that loved gold, and she was gold digging, I guess you could
Mhm.
say.
Yeah, well, she
Just
did
a
turn around,
great,
didn't she? In the point when she went to the camera, went, "I've got them back. I'm not losing them again," and she had the belt. So, she played into that character really well, didn't she? But
yep.
I say we go from one dross to another dross. Well, it starts off well. Jerry the King Lawler comes out. Jerry's a great promo, always was, always will be. Knows what he's saying and winds the crowds up. Does all the normal book of gimmicks, right? And here we go. The book is rising. Away you go, my friend.
Here's some lines that Jerry the King Lawler had to spice up the crowd so he could get his ass beat and have Ultimate Warrior no sell everything. Was that your face or did your neck throw up? Girls like you turn men into gold dust. If you were dressed in blue, do people throw mail at you?
Jerry's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. But Undertaker, Warrior comes out. This was probably one of Warrior's longest matches, 3 minutes 50.
What a joke.
Yeah.
What a joke. Yeah, he was gassed up after this one. He couldn't even sell being choked. Have you ever seen somebody get choked and just wail around for hours on end with a scepter? That's the only heat spot because they knew that you needed a weapon to get rid of Ultimate Warrior, I guess. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of this.
No.
Like the build sucked. They didn't know what to do with them. And I also have a side note here. I'll get to that later. But you could tell that there was some sort of redemption tour and lightning in a bottle that Vince wanted to go with here to bring these stars back. This might have been with Hall and Nash leaving, but he wanted to bring back Jake. He brought back freaking Jannetty. He brought
Yeah.
back Ultimate Warrior here. Like, were these direct responses to do this? I would think the Warrior was kind of in the works anyway. I don't understand why he was doing this. And the Warrior just, you could tell even Triple H said he's the most unprofessional guy that he worked with during that second run. Because this guy thought his shit didn't stink and it was terrible. I couldn't watch this match. It was just, the build was terrible too. What was it? Jerry drew a picture of him and then Warrior came out with this hat.
See, this is the thing that I loved Warrior back in the 80s, but like even at this point, me as a 12 years old at that point, I didn't even like him here.
It was stripped down, and it was just like there's something different about him because that he was the same guy, but it was just like, well, I'm older now and I don't care about you. And they wanted this more like maniac that could actually now curse. Because he said, I'm going to kick your ass at the King of the Ring. And I don't remember him ever saying that in the early 90s. Then again, they got a little leniency with censorship and all that. But it just, even now, the WWE doesn't want you to remember that documentary they made about him that came out in the early 2000s. I have it on DVD and I'm not getting rid of it because I don't know if it's even on the network. But even Jerry Lawler says, look, I actually painted this picture, which he is an artist. I painted this picture of the Warrior. I was going to give it to him. He came out with a hat and just black makeup. Like he just came out of the shower. And he's like, oh, I need to be on stage in 30 seconds. He's like, he didn't care. He didn't prepare for anything. He's like, he was just the most unprofessional guy. And this match just proved it. It's just, he no-sold Jerry's pile driver. Then he gets right back up and I don't know.
And Jerry's not Jerry's a legend, isn't he? You shouldn't be getting treated like that, I know Warrior thinks he's a legend in his own mind, but Jerry is a legend across the whole wrestling business, not just WWE,
Yeah. I don't know.
But
He deserved more. And
anyway,
you could tell he hated him.
yeah. Well, anyway, Warrior gets the quick squash win here. Not interested in discussing it any further. Is what it is. But then we move on to the great stuff. Mankind's Undertaker. Going at it for one of the first times, and it was great, really great from start to finish. The match went 18 minutes 21. It didn't feel too long. It felt just about right.
Because you could see a story that was actually being told the whole time.
Yeah.
I loved
Kept
watching
you engaged,
this.
didn't it?
Yeah, because you're still wondering what's going to keep Mankind down for a while. You know, and you're watching it, you're just going, wow, really, Mankind's given to him. I talked about prior about how to sell that DDT. If you take a look at that slit pile driver that Mankind does, Undertaker sticks his leg straight up, man, and makes it look really good, like the impact. I think the less crunched up you are for selling a move like that, or the less crunched up you are, the better it is, because you look like there's impact, and you see the feet kind of just jargon down to where it's like, oh man, he might have really broken his neck there. I love that pile driver that Mankind does, but you need somebody to sell it, and Undertaker knew how to sell it. So Taker did this backdrop to Mankind on the floor on a chair, and I just thought, I don't even know if I could get up right now from one of those. And Foley just, puts his shoulders down, puts his elbows down, and just rolls over and gets right back up. I'm like, and that's like midway through the match. I'm like, how does this happen? Like, how does this guy do this? How do you just not feel pain? Impervious to pain, correct? Is that what they say?
That's what they say.
Good. It's a good story. It's a really good story, because you just have
it sets it for going forward as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, because 2 years later, from what we did last week, we see them on top of a cell.
But what I mean is where it says, "Oh, Bear didn't mean it." He hit him with the urn and he didn't mean it. Well, lost his Ospreys. I beg to differ, Mr. Ross.
Newsflash. He obviously meant to do it.
Yeah.
Because you had was it the Boiler Room Brawl where they had to go back to get the urn? Was that the Boiler Room Brawl, or was it something else?
No, that was it,
Yeah, and then you had the heel turn of Paul Bear to hit Undertaker with the urn and then give it to Mankind. Mankind wins, blah, blah, blah. That's another story. But it's storytelling, because, all of a sudden, Undertaker passes out from pain and also the mandible claw, which is rather disgusting. Why would you want to do that?
I know. I was thinking that, I wondered if he gets a new one of them every time he went into the ring with someone, because otherwise I'd be like, no, let me smell that before you put it anywhere near your mouth.
Could you imagine Mankind versus Bastion Booger? I wouldn't want to be the next 3 wrestlers after that.
Yeah. Big Dick. Oh, do you know what? They should have put Big Dick Johnson in a tag team with Bastion Booger.
They could share the same leotard.
Hey, Booger
Dick. We're disgusting, aren't we?
I know. Well, it's all shits and giggles. Anyway, Mankind gets the win here. Shot clean win as well. Whether there's a bit of interference or not, but still a clean win. Happy with that.
Yep.
Then we move on to the absolute dog shite. Poor Goldust.
Yeah, he was banging Marlena, so I wouldn't call him very poor at that point.
Yeah.
But you're talking about as far as career path. Yeah, this isn't it. Ahmed Johnson is still somewhat trying to get over. Doesn't care about anything. Doesn't understand a goddamn thing, or anyone. No. Even when he runs to the ring and knocks out poor the door people. I think they're the Hardys, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So he knocks them out when he comes to the door, so he could hit on Goldust. Not hit on. Well, in this match, maybe you could say it was hitting on Goldust.
But do you know what? Goldust did bump for him everywhere, though, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, when Goldust was on the outside, sitting on the second partition of the steps, and then Ahmed threw the steps at Goldust, he winged them as fast as he could. And I'm sure Goldust had something to say afterwards, because that was not good.
No,
that could have been bad. Do you remember when you would be watching TV as a kid and you'd be watching something like, I don't know, like a movie, and it's like a bunch of kids or, whatever, like an action movie or something like that. And your mom's in the back or whatever, or your dad's in the back. And then all of a sudden you see a girl in a bikini and you're watching that. And that's when your parents walk in.
Yeah.
You remember that moment? And then they'd be like, oh, what are you watching here?
Yeah.
Picture, this is what happened to me. I'm watching this and Golda starts dry humping Ahmed Johnson and then tries to do mouth to mouth. And my wife goes, what the fuck is going on? Of course she walked in. She finally walks in as I'm watching this. And this is what she goes into. She couldn't walk in on the last match. She couldn't walk in on, Vader. Even freaking Ultimate Warrior. I don't care. She would have been like, oh, it's that piece of crap. She walks in. There's not much to go by on this match. This match went way too long. Ahmed Johnson becomes the Intercontinental Champion. Jim Ross is verbally putting his disgust on tape saying, why the hell is this happening? Just mind-boggling. So he ends up winning.
Yeah, went far too long. Ahmed Johnson can't go 15 minutes in a match, and it's proven in this one. Yeah, but it is what it is. Then we move on to the co-main event. We had Steve Austin versus Jake Roberts. King of the Ring final match. They got 4 minutes 28, but the story they told within them 4 minutes was awesome.
Yep. I wanted to say that they must have been pushing Jake for a huge babyface run at this point because they talk about his age, they talk about his heroism nonstop, which was a lie. You would think that the Church of Latter-day Saints was actually sponsoring this. And I also want to say I miss Gorilla Monsoon. He was a great on-air character too, alongside with calling matches as well.
Yeah.
And so it was good to see him come out here. Austin gets the upper hand right away. Jake doesn't even fully enter the ring. Steve comes in and just beats the crap out of him right then and there, attacking the rims. Rabid, right? Just viciously hitting him. Knows, I need to get this done. Okay? And he goes after Jake. Gorilla comes out. Gorilla says, hey, you stop it for a second. He's saying to Jake, and you'll see it behind me too. Jake's saying, no, I want to continue. I want to go on. It's no mercy from Steve.
No. Owen Hart going, it's not his fault the bell hasn't rang. He's got every entitlement to beat him.
We can't even do justice to Owen on here. It'll get better by next match too, because of how funny he is. The Slammy Award winner calling Yokozuna a fat piece of crap several times on here, and Yoko's not even on the card.
No.
Just awesome stuff, man. Obviously Austin wins here. Just the pinfall after the stunner, and you just knew Jake was not long for this company. Jake ends up leaving, getting carried out. But that's not before Steve goes up there to accept his award and puts everybody on notice in the WWF saying, I'm going to come here, get that piece of crap out of my ring. And just continues to probably have one of the most iconic promos ever. Yeah. Not for the decade, not for that year, ever.
And do you know one of my comments here I've wrote down is, imagine him delivering that promo with a crown on.
Do you think he could have had that tilted too? He could have had that crown tilted too, and just kind of been like that old Biggie Smalls.
He never wore it, did he? Never wore it.
He's too good for that, man.
Yeah. But it's clever. It's clever that not doing that, because he was the first one not to wear the crown or anything else, was he?
He could have been. Well, if he kept the Ringmaster moniker, he could have been the Ring King. That would have totally killed his career.
God.
Or he combine them and be Kring. Kring Austin.
Kring. Well, we move on to our main event of the evening. Owens in fine form straight away from the start. Bulldog. standing on the
Yeah.
commentary desk and all
So,
that good
him
stuff.
standing with the Slammy Awards. Remember, the Slammies was a big thing too back then. So it would actually
Mm,
meant something, not just like, hey, let's just fill TV time as it
yeah,
is today. The Slammies
yeah.
meant something to people back then.
Well, my other party is I know why they didn't have a crown for Austin. They spent all their budget on pyro for Sean.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure Lothario also got some fire on him too with that one.
Oh God, I know, but I'm going to be very controversial here, yeah, and say this match is up there with the SummerSlam '92 match based on in
That's a
ring,
good take. I'm not
and
disagreeing with
I
that.
believe Sean carried the Bulldog, because let's face it, the Bulldog was never the best of wrestlers, but Sean carried him for 26 minutes here.
I'm so upset and that was a long match. That's a very good point. I'm so upset that I wore my Beware of Dog t-shirt last week because this was the follow-up to that match.
It was.
And remember, it's funny
Well,
how it
this is the
turned.
follow-up to that T-shirt.
Yeah.
So,
Holy crap. Yeah, so chronologically, we're doing okay. And now I have Beware of Cat. But I gotta say, they don't really talk about Diana Hart. They mention her. She comes to the ring
yeah,
with Bulldog
yeah,
here. And I the one commentary peeve I have is the fact that Ross keeps saying, well, it's in Sean's best interest to get DQ'd because then he could keep the belt. You
yeah,
don't
yeah. It's
really
like this.
ever say. Would you say that for a baby face? No, you kind of say that for the heel so he could win, and that's his out, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like we talk about DQ finishes. So I thought that was weird. That's my pet peeve with this. Andy, I gotta admit, man, I think you're spot on with that though, because
yeah,
it's just it really sets a good tone here as far as, well, Bulldog hates Sean, and Bulldog would be a better champion. Sean doesn't want to lose the belt, and Sean knows that he's a better champion. But it's really good when you see Ross saying, and this is me patting on the back, well, this is a very sound move. It's not too flashy, but that headlock is going to wear down Sean, and that means he won't be able to get that super kick on there. And I like that. I liked hearing that from the announcer too, because it's also
yeah.
talking about game plan and strategy. You're not going to talk about game plan and strategy with Ahmed Johnson,
No, no,
not with
no,
Warrior
definitely
on
not.
here. No.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
Sean gets the win with a disqualification, interruption by Owen Hart and the rest of the gang as well.
we
And
didn't
it's
mention, we
kind of,
didn't mention, we didn't mention one thing here that's key. Mr. Perfect was the referee for
yes,
this too,
he was. I
and
apologize.
they were showing him prior in the locker room of Bulldog and Cornette and Doc Hendricks or Michael Hayes, the fabulous one. He said, well, what are you doing back here? He's like, I'm just getting dressed, which is kind of funny because it's like, that's true. He didn't interact with anybody, and then you would see him later on in the night with a vignette with, not vignette, with a backstage segment with Shawn
Mm,
Michaels. And Shawn said to call it down the middle. And Hennig at this point, and by the way, they actually, Owen Hart went out and said Kurt Hennig in this. I don't remember ever. I
no,
don't ever remember them saying Kurt Hennig in a
no,
pay-per-view, referring to Mr. Perfect as Kurt Hennig.
no.
So Owen kind of peeled back that kayfabe there for a second. But I gotta say, man, this was, they relegated Mr. Perfect to be on the outside of the ring to
He's
count.
Lloyd's of London. That's why. That's what it was all about, mate. That Lloyd's of London payout.
Yeah, yeah. But that would have been for wrestling, though, correct?
I believe it was getting in the ring. So I believe with him staying outside the ring was a
During a
workaround
match.
of his policy.
Yep. And you would see him come in just to do the count, but his feet were on the outside to do the
Mm,
count for the 3.
yeah,
So Sean would win at that point, and then Owen would come in. He had the cast on and beat the crap out of him.
yeah.
Then
Then we had the
Ahmed would,
rest of
the chuckle fucks would come in. So
mhm,
you'd have Ahmed Johnson come in, then he's taken
yeah.
out because Vader comes in, and then out of nowhere, I was shocked because I remember it, but I just don't remember the reason for it. Warrior came in.
Yeah. See, Warrior,
And
though, at the end, he was hugging Sean, and he was really all. It's the first time I'd ever seen kind of a human side to the Warrior in the ring. I mean,
yeah, but you could actually hear Vince McMahon coming.
mm.
Yeah.
You could. Oh, it's the Warrior. That was one thing Vince always done well on thing was the internal combustion that he had on commentary. It was just great.
Oh, hey, big boy. Yeah, he did that a lot with Lex too.
Hey, boss,
um,
great thrusts.
welcome, universe, and thank you, and goodbye. And now here's the $3 million I gave to some woman that I tag team with John Laurinaitis with ruthless aggression. We love you, Vince.
Brilliant.
We love you, Vince. Andy,
Got a set of
overall
balls, set of
thoughts.
balls on him. So on this one, I'm going to go with a 3 out of 5. I'm not even going to give
do it out of 10. We do it
Oh,
out
sorry,
of 10.
we do out of 10. We do it 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10?
Yeah. Ahmed Johnson was dog shit. The Smoking Guns match was a load of crap. Didn't like the finish of the Vader match. Thought the King of the Ring final was great story, but a bit too slow, a bit too short. Do you know what? No, I'm going to go 5. I'm going to give it a 5, and say the reason why. The Shawn Michaels Bulldog match saved it massively, and the Austin promo. But for me, that's not enough to give it a massive. Do you know what? No, actually, thinking Mankind's at 6. 6, I'm going to give it. That's it. It's as much as I'm willing to go.
Was it my facial gestures that was making you go up?
No,
up,
I'm just looking down the card here, and to be honest, I didn't even look down and see him. Mankind Bear gives it a point. Stone Cold's promo gives it a point. The storytelling gives it a point. Michael's Bulldog match holds it up massively. And I think that's it. I think that was the only good stuff on the card.
Yeah. No, I think you're right with that. I'm going to go with the 6 on that. I'm going to go with the 6 on that. And you pointed out some really surefire negatives on that, and I agree with them. Vader should not have gone. We talked about how Vader should have potentially gotten DQ'd. You know, maybe we should be bookers of our own territory. Maybe at some point in the future when we become trillionaires. But I really what I don't like is one other thing that I didn't like was Bulldog did a press slam but couldn't get his footing right on Sean, and Sean fell over the top rope. And Vince said something really weird. He said Vince said Bulldog should be disqualified for throwing him over the top rope. And then I said to myself, is Bill Watts your commissioner?
I think he was with the company at this time, though, wasn't he?
What? Yeah, that's why. Yeah. But wasn't Monsoon there?
Yeah, Monsoon was there, wasn't
he? So Bill Watts was with the company at that point. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he would have been. Yeah.
So he would have been there. So so technically, there's a couple things that happened that went behind the curtain there. One of the negative was the fact that they're kind of going to the well with these older characters as Brock Lesnar comes back to face Roman Reigns again. I know. Yeah, we're not. That's another story. So enjoy the Wrestle Buddy conversation on that one, sir. Yeah. But anyway, I will say I do like the fact that Warrior will be gone from the company shortly after for not showing because his ego is too big. But who do they bring in, my friend?
It was 96. Man's gone blank.
Sid.
Oh, was Sid, wasn't it? 96, 97. Sid, yeah.
Yeah, they brought in Sid. And do you remember there was a Raw where they closed out? Because Warrior, shortly after this, ended up saying, I'm just not showing. Then he got canned. And then he would go to WCW and blah, blah, blah.
I think Sid was well more talented than Warrior.
Of course he was. But that's massively. Of course he was. Come on. That's not. It's comparing a hot dog to kibasi. I'm not going to say comparing hot dog to a filet mignon because Sid is not a filet mignon, but I'd rather have kibasi. But one other thing here, there was that Raw that came on after the show. they came on a few weeks after this, and Cornette saying we're going to face you and Ahmed. We're going to face you and Ahmed, so it's going to be Owen, Bulldog, Vader. Who's your partner going to be? And at the end of Raw, Shawn Michaels brings on Sid, and that's when Cornette flips out.
That's it. And Sid was one of his first thingies as well, wasn't he? Oh God, I can't even think of the word now. His first bodyguards after Diesel, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't go with I'm surprised they didn't go with Mr. Hughes, right?
Oh God,
Mr. Hughes wasn't bad. That's just SD Jones.
Well, so no, overall, not a. But.
No, and it's one of those things where if you look at the cards for a pay-per-view on like Wikipedia and you see the match times, you might be confused by the Mark Mero Steve Austin match, which was very good. Austin got bloodied up there, and I think it reopened again. So it's like 12 stitches to his mouth, and I tried to figure out when that happened, but that was a good match too. Very underrated match too.
Yeah.
A lot of fun,
guys. That was the review of King of the Ring in 1996. Join us next week. It's my turn next week, isn't it? Oh, it's going to be our last one in June. Let me see what we're going to watch. Maybe you can watch along with it. You can watch it, guys, before we watch it, and then we can
compare some notes.
Compare some notes on the live chat next week. Let's have a look, see, shall we?
So, just in case people don't realize what's going on, about last month, I asked for this one pay-per-view that looked kind of weird on the card, and then I subjected Andy to it, and he hated everything except for Conan versus Ultimo Dragon. No, Conan versus Jushin Thunder Liger.
Yes, that was the one, yeah.
That was a good match.
It was.
Now, that was the Slamboree 1996. There were good matches on there, and he just wants to pay me back. He's like a scorn lover. It's almost like our country succeeded from their country, and he just can't. You
were just what's called it, weren't you? You were just traitors. Rebels.
Damn right. Get over it.
Let me have a look. What one we're gonna go for? Bear with me. 2003 Bad Blood.
I'm not even going to look at the fucking card. I'm going to play that, okay?
No. To tell you the main event.
You know what? Give me the best card on the match.
The best match on the card, you mean?
Yep.
All right, let me just get it up. Oh,
I hate this. That laugh says it all.
Right. So I'm going to give you a match here. Kristen Nowinski and Rodney Bach versus with Theodore Long versus the Dudley Boys.
Fuck me running.
I'll give you one other thing, right? There was also a redneck triathlon. I'm
fucking done.
Between Eric Bischoff and Stone Cold.
All right. Tune in next week while I slice my testicles off.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
With a piece of paper.
We appreciate every one of you, everyone who subscribes to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button for us. We really appreciate everybody who's watching us. It's nice to see we're 9 months in and we're seeing the channel grow bit by bit every time, and that's what we want. Have fun with you all. But from me and Dale, until next time, stay classy and stay well.
Go fuck yourself.